To be totally honest, we can't even hear the intro music playing right now, but
Don't hear it.
It is dun-dun-dun worthy. Like, I jam out every time I hear that Eddie beat. He killed that.
Eddie and CT making the beats.
They killed it.
Love it. I mean, honestly, and it took them no time. If anybody needs anything like that, Milltown Sound, baby. It took them no time, and they had so much fun doing. And we had more than just one to choose from. We had
they pulled it together fast.
It's kind of hard. You know,
Totally.
We were like, hey, which one fits for transitions? Which ones fits for interview and closing? And we had like 9 to choose from. And I felt like we chose well.
Yeah, it's sick. So welcome in. It's episode 8 of the Jocks and Jills podcast, presented as always by CCM with your pals, Julie Ducheri, Tessa Benum with you as always. What a week it was in women's hockey. Like, International Women's Day is always a fun one. It's always kind of a crazy one because it's like a day where women are supposed to be all hyped up, but we always end up really busy on International Women's Day. Should we tell the story about how we all planned on taking the day off, but we couldn't this year because of the trade deadline?
There was a bunch of us that were like, you know what? Next year, let's all just book International Women's Day off and just go have like a spa day and a good dinner. And then the NHL was like, oh, yeah? You think so, huh?
Yeah.
Take trades.
Gary.
Yeah. Jerry. Anyway, so we were all working. All of us.
Yeah.
Celebrated through work. Whatever. It was fun. It was a good time. We had Renata Fast on our trade center, our trade deadline day. She was on chatting women's hockey. We had a good, myself, Hedgie, Lindsay Hamilton,
Yeah,
Poundy.
it was a sick show.
We were talking ladies hockey. Shout out to Megan Redwood putting all the content together for us ladies. Yeah. And, you know, I guess the boys creating space for women's hockey. I feel like it's a hockey show, so they should. I mean, all we do is sit around and pick our nose all day and eat snacks that we don't need to be eating. So, yeah, made some for some good content, if you will.
Yeah.
We actually had
I have to shout out.
We actually did a spin a wheel on like who wouldn't make the trade. And I want to hear your thoughts. So one of them, it's like, who would say no? Which team would say, no, we aren't doing that trade? 1 for 1 for the rest of their career. And the last one that we did was Sarah Fillier for Taylor Heisey. Who would say no? Canada or USA? Both, obviously.
My gosh. Both would say no.
But you got to pick one.
I'm
Right?
I'm taking Heisey right now, I think.
Yeah?
I think so, but
I know,
it's hard to
really
compare
hard.
when I've seen
It's
her
incredibly
dominate
hard.
at the pro level already, and I haven't seen Fillier at that level. I don't know. You put me on the spot. Gosh, it's so early for this. Jesus, this is the intro segment. Leave me alone.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. But I have to shout it out. We're talking about International Women's Day. I have to shout out Jamie Lee Rattray. She fired me one of the shirts. Women in sports are here to stay. There's a little rat on the back with the 47. I love the logo. Thank you for sending me this, Julia.
Yeah, Rattray, thanks for sending it to Julia.
Yeah, I was feeling pretty honored. So I was at the Toronto Montreal game,
whatever,
on International Women's Day, and I got so many like, where did you get that? I haven't been able to get one of those. I was very honored. Yeah, a ton of people were like, man, I've been trying to get one of those. I wasn't able to get my hands on one.
Were they sold out already?
I don't know. I don't know if it was a sellout problem or a shipping problem, but there was a lot of people like, hey, like, where did you get that? I need one of those. So I was feeling pretty honored.
Team Limited?
Yeah, LTD.
Team Limited should throw a couple our way. We could do a little giveaway.
Ooh, yeah, we totally should.
Just saying, Team Limited.
Yeah. Okay, I have another shout out from that International Women's Day. Half the game I was editing social clips for Jocks and Jills. Love you. Half the game I was sitting in the press box, and half the game I sat with Marissa Roberto at her swaggy like bench right behind the bench seats at the Mattamy Athletic Center. And I was sitting next to a girl named Mary, and it was the first time I got, are you Julia from Jocks and Jills? I was so stoked about it. She listens to the podcast. And this is even cooler. She went to your hockey camp in Sudbury. She is a big Tessa fan. So she plays
What's
for
her last name? Wait, did she attend it? Okay.
Yeah, she was with her mom. She attended it, and like she's just a big women's hockey fan, a fan of you. She's from the GTA.
Love
it. But went up to Sudbury and got an Airbnb to go to your hockey tournament. So I was so excited
I actually
to
remember. I had that combo with her and her mother. I do remember this. Unreal that you sat next to her. The universe works in weird ways.
Yeah. So we'll talk about the Toronto Montreal game soon, but I got a glass side seat to all that action. What else do we have to talk about this week?
This
weekend. Yeah, I was living large. CCM, speaking of Lee side, they had an awesome event. Like, we know how hard CCM rides for women's hockey. They are the presenting sponsor on this podcast. They've always been big supporters during your career. This weekend, they had Victoria Bach and Sarah Nurse out to Leaside. They donated $25,000 to the Leaside Wildcats junior team to renovate and elevate their locker room, and they surprised the whole team with full sets of their new FCW gear.
Like, so, isn't that so sick?
Weekend.
Yes. Like, come on. That's unbelievable. Yeah. And like, imagine being that age. Well, even for you, Julia, your ratty gear. I mean, you would have been stoked just to get a new pair of wheels.
Dude, okay, wait. I actually have a comment to make about that because I was talking to a couple of the CCM people.
And they were like, please don't stand near me with your gnarly gear.
Dude, I'm not taking any gear trips from you. Like, look at what monstrosity is hanging in the background of your shot right now.
That allowed me to birth. Hold on. That allowed me to birth 2 children.
That's what allowed it? That's what you're attesting it to?
Saved my pubic bone. Absolutely.
Right. So shout out to your Jill for Theo and Annie. I love you guys. You 2 kids are the best. But a couple of the CCM reps came up to me at the game, and I had gotten an email. They were like, hey, like, we saw your Instagram story. Please send us your address so you can no longer post in your dusty. And I'm like, what? It's CCM. It's the OG, like, Sidney Crosby 2008 gloves that I love. And you know what wheels I miss? The RBZ pumps. RBK
you have those?
Pumps. I mean, rather, I may or may not.
You do.
Yeah, I love them. You can pump them up. They're tight on your ankle. I'm kind of a bender. So CCM is sending me some new gear. I'll have to make a video this week about how they've upgraded me. But he said, like, oh, it kind of became a thing in the office. Like, people were, like, passing around the photos of your gear.
We should post some on social media. What year's Julia's gloves from?
We will. I don't even know what year they're from. Like, I don't know. My mitts haven't grown very much. Like, they've just been this size probably since I was 12. So I was kind of an L for JT, but a big win because get some new gear.
Yeah, you embarrassed yourself to new gear. That's perfect. Yeah, and I mean, look, in all fairness, not this episode, but the next one, we are going to have some cool gear giveaway from CCM because we know how costly the sport can be. And we want to help, gear up some fans, some players that are looking for some new swag, maybe some new twigs, maybe some new sticks, maybe some of the new FTW gear. We're going to get everybody hooked up with that stuff. So that won't come this episode. We're not fully ready for it yet, but it'll come in the next one for show.
Yeah, I'm not fully ready for anything yet. This is something that we have to discuss. What is daylight savings and why do we keep doing it? Isn't this something with like ancient calendars? Why am I suffering for their mistakes? I can't do it anymore.
So it's the dumbest thing in the history of the whole entire world. I'm pretty sure it had to do with farmers, didn't it? Farmers at a time.
Something.
And then now it's only sticking around because of this stupid stock market.
Is that what it is?
Pretty sure. So can we all just make a deal and like, look, we all need to just sign some type of petition and be like, we're not doing it.
Let's just not. Yeah,
whether you change the time or not, no one's showing up to work an hour earlier or an hour later. The only thing daylight savings time is good for is when you're in university and it's fall and the clocks fall back an hour. And it's last call, and they all flick on the lights. They're like, oh, last call. Just kidding. We all got an extra hour. And everyone's like, yeah. That is the only time daylight savings is worth anything. The second you have children, it is the worst thing.
Oh, I can't imagine with kids.
It is awful.
Okay, I had a scary one last night, though. I have my sister's in town from Thunder Bay. I've got a few friends in town from Thunder Bay. Yeah, so we were at Parlor on King Street. It was a good time. I'll shout them out because I've had my birthday there a couple times and they were helpful with it. And they have awesome pizza. But so we leave there at like a reasonable time, like 12:31, probably 1:30 if I'm being totally honest. And then we're sitting around my apartment, just, like it feels like a casual night. Like we're not super drunk. It's not super late. We're in my apartment. And then suddenly it's 4:00. I'm like, get out. Everybody's got to go. This is all ruined. It's too late. You got to leave immediately.
Everyone. I know. Because it changes quick. Is it like 2 a.m. I think it changes?
Yeah. Or
so 2, an hour disappears.
2, it suddenly becomes 3. You lose the whole hour. So 2:00, you're sitting around having post-game drinks. That doesn't feel serious. 4:00 feels like a problem. Like everybody's got to go.
Yeah.
It's over.
It's brutal. The worst.
Yeah, it is.
I agree. Agree to agree. I'm glad it's brutal for both of us.
I know. We're making it through. And with that, let's get to our headlines presented by Molson. All right, time now for headlines presented by Molson. And we teased it last week, Tessa. We told everyone that Molson was coming on to sponsor our headline segment for the next 3 weeks. Last week, this week, next week, all in celebration of International Women's Day. And we teased that something special was coming from the jerseys, with the jerseys. And look right behind Tessa. There they are. How cool is this? So it's been seen in women's hockey before. I know the old league did something similar, but this was so special that Molson gave the girls the opportunity to have their name shown. Like, I know you have short hair, but I actually know that this is something my mom would be kind of up in arms about when I was a kid. She'd be like, I got this beautiful hair. I can never see our last name. It would actually bug her. This is a real thing that yeah, it's a thing.
Well, it's the reason why we did this podcast, right?
Yeah.
Exposure for these ladies. And that's just it. Proper exposure. So, I mean, not everybody has, the lineup in front of them. And not everybody knows who everybody is. So when you're watching, someone's daughter might be like number, 24 on Toronto. Who's that? And it's like, well, you can't really see her name because Spooner's ponytail's blocking it. So Molson went ahead and was like, you know what? We're going to pay the league to put our name and have it covered up so the lady's name can be visible. And visibility. That's it. I think it's awesome. It was a way to, promote the ladies and give them that exposure that they deserve and that they need. I kind of liked it a lot. I hope there are more companies that come on and do this. I maybe Molson might do it for the rest of the season. I don't know. But what I like is that they thought of it and they went ahead and did it. And it was a real cool, unique idea. And anybody that thinks that it might be a bit gimmicky or whatever, you're wrong.
No,
Sorry.
it matters.
It matters. Yeah. And so I thought, even in reaching out to the ladies, I was just like, how cool is that? And they're like, this is so awesome. Like, this is wicked. And I was like, I know. And then, I had the jerseys laying down on my table, upstairs, and I was like, oh, I got to do a post about this. And, Theo, my son, is a Habs fan, right? Courtesy of Eddie. And so he was like, what teams are these? What's this one? And I'm like, well, that's the Montreal team. And he looked at the other one. He's like, that's the blue team, the stinky Leafs. I'm like, no, these aren't the Leafs. This is the ladies. This is the ladies team. This is the team that you cheer for. And he was like, no, I'm cheering for this team. I'm like, okay. So he's like, put my jersey on. So I put the Dubois jersey on him. And then he was like, Annie, you have to wear this one. And Annie was like, I want this one. And so she put it on. And Sunday morning, I'm doing a little bit of work on my computer. And Annie came and sat down next to me and on my lap. And she was like, Mommy. I'm like, what team do you cheer for? And she was like, she pointed to Sarah Nurse and she's like, this one. And I was like, oh, I'm like, and what's her name? Because we go over the names of the ladies.
Yeah.
And she was like, Annie, that's Annie. And I was like, oh, I'm like, cool, man. You see yourself in her. All right. That's not a bad thing. I'm like, her name's Sarah. And she was like, oh, Sarah. I'm like, so what's her name? And she was like, Annie. And I'm like, no, we'll get back to it. So I messaged her. So I'm like, just to let you know, my daughter, is like your new biggest fan, but your name is now Annie. So Toronto,
that is amazing.
On notice. She's got a new nickname. It's Annie.
Yeah. So shout out to Molson. I think that this was a wildly successful campaign. There's people talking about this all over the place. There was a real buzz about this. Lots of people were asking me where they could buy the specific jerseys with the name at the bottom. It's pretty exciting.
The ad they put together for it was wicked. It brought tears to my eyes.
Yeah.
Kudos. So, yay, Molson.
Clicks, many clicks. You guys rock, and you're so fun to work with too. We've had a really good time with this partnership.
100%.
Talking about that Montreal-Toronto game that went down on International Women's Game, Toronto once again takes down Montreal. And we'll do a little standings update. Montreal and Toronto currently tied atop the league. Both teams have 30 points. Yep. Boston and Ottawa all of a sudden tied as well. 20 points apiece for the final playoff spot. Both their teams won their games yesterday on Sunday it'll be yesterday, I guess, when you guys are listening to this. It's Sunday night right now, which explains, me and Tessa's general vibes. Big win for Ottawa. But let's stick with that Toronto win first, where Toronto makes it 9 in a row. Campbell gets her third shutout. So now they've taken down Montreal 3 times in a row this season. This Toronto team that started off not so good, and this Montreal team that's been almost on top of the standings all year. Poulin, after the game, by the way, didn't play today, lower body injury. We'll talk about that. She had that big collision with Sarah Nurse when Nursey was going for the open net and Pooh chased her down right at the end of that game. I was sitting right there. It was almost right in front of me. So she didn't play. But yeah, Poulin said after, they've taken us down 3 times in a row now. We're definitely gonna have that in our heads. It's game had a playoff type vibe to it. What's your take on the whole Toronto-Montreal matchup and why Toronto has their number so well?
I find it unique because and interesting
Yeah.
because I think the battle 1 through 3 is going to be wild for the remainder of the season. So there are how many games leading up to Women's Worlds? How many left? Anyways, I know there's 15 total games after Women's Worlds is done.
Yeah.
That's not very many games, right? And in a 3-point system, I feel like there's going to be a ton of jockeying going on, especially based on how much physical, hard hockey these teams have been playing. Montreal had 3 games in 5 days. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a big toll on these ladies, especially for those that have been out of college for quite some time and haven't been necessarily on the ice every single day, practicing hard, playing 2 really hard games on the weekend. And I think it's going to come down to who's the healthiest or who's, systematically playing the tightest game, period. And I don't think we can really count anybody in or out, like guaranteed, until after Women's Worlds. And we're 5 games in after that because there's going to be so much that happened. You saw Taylor Heisey go out and down in the last rivalry series game. Anything like that can happen in those games because now there's money on the line for that's a world championship medal. That's what these ladies get up for on the regular. And now they're going into this tired. Renata Fast, how much ice time has Renata played every single game?
Oh my
Over
gosh,
25 minutes every single game. Over 25. That is wild. She had 38 minutes in one of the last games?
Yeah.
That's insane. Now she's got to go into a Worlds and be top notch against these super fast young kids. You expect her to play a solid 20? It's going to be insane. And then come back and now it's crunch time. You're not even taking your foot off the gas pedal. So 1 through 3 is going to be crazy. I know for Montreal, it's got to be so infuriating, especially for a debut, that you can't take it to Toronto. You can't. That's the one team they cannot beat in the league. For Toronto, I think they're so happy, but in talking to a lot of them, they're like, we don't even count on this because come playoffs, it's debut time. And that's terrifying. I asked Emma Maltais, point blank, you guys are so good against Montreal. If they were like in third or something, you would pick them to play, hey? And she's like, no way. I don't want to face debut in the first round playoffs. No chance. And I was like, okay. So Debian clearly levels up, and we saw it at the Worlds and in the Olympics. I mean, I guess they know more in practicing and playing with her than we do. Mm-hmm. But in my head, I'm just like, well, that's what, matchup lines up best for you guys right now. And then in my head, I'm like, right now doesn't mean a damn thing.
Yeah. And for as much as Debian goes killer mode in the playoffs and in do or die situations, Elaine Chuli was the goalie that played that game on Friday night against Toronto. Right. And oh my gosh, Tessa, she was good. Like they didn't win that game. She gave them every opportunity to win that game. There was some insane sequences that she stayed strong on. Like she is still, we gave her flowers last week. We'll just continue to rifle them her way because she is so deserving of all of them. She's just been excellent, and that continued even the loss against Toronto on Friday.
And that's what's tough is like your goalie can be as good as you want your goalie to be, but at the end of the day, if you're not scoring goals, you're not winning, right?
Yeah.
And so sucks for Chuli that she's got an L under her stats because she didn't play like an L.
We cursed her for sure, dude. It was like as soon as I posted that video, it happened. So I'm sorry, Elaine. We shouldn't do that stuff. It was a broadcaster curse on our part. We'll wear that one.
Yeah. But nonetheless, I mean, it's been fun to watch, and it'll be interesting to see how the rest plays out. Like I said, it's going to be really awesome watching top 3, bottom 3 sort itself out.
A little bit of player movement in the league today. Yes. Grant Mentis signs a reserve player contract with Montreal. She gets back in the league after being released by Ottawa earlier this year. And Sam Isbell, my girl, Thunder Bay, Ontario's own, signs a standard player agreement with Ottawa. She was one of Boston's reserve players for the season leading up to that. And oh my gosh, I think about these girls sometimes and how crazy it's been. Sam Isbell specifically, because I know her story well. And it's an example of a player who, like a pretty standard example for a lot of players in the league. Like Sam was part of the PHF's Montreal Force when that league was absorbed by
Mhm.
what's now the PWHL. So those girls were kind of left feeling really confused that day, I'd imagine. So she packs up her stuff from Montreal, tries out for Boston, gets on the reserve list, and now she's in Ottawa. So it's been such a crazy ride for some of the girls in this league test. Like I think of the human side of a lot of it sometimes.
Totally, but you know what? That's what it is being a pro now, and I think
For
that
sure.
kudos to these ladies for making those sacrifices and really paving the way and setting a good example for those to come. But for Montreal's case, in terms of picking up Grant Mentis, I had spoken
Yeah.
to Danielle Sauvageau, and um, she was just saying, you know, she understands how hard it is to consistently have an offensive, threatening team, especially with injuries and things that are going to take place for the second half of the season, because she understands just how grueling the schedule is for these ladies and how difficult it is to play in these now way more physical games. Not to say that they haven't been training for it, but it is different when you're just thrown in the fire like that. And so she felt like, you know, Grant Mentis is going to be able to provide that for them. And she said, I see a ton of potential in her and I love what I see. And I want to help get her there, because I think that if we can, and she's committed to it, she can come into our lineup and be exactly what we need and what we want out of a player to, you know, be a depth contributor in terms of offense. And they asked her simply, you know, you need to come here to Montreal and be a reserve and eat, sleep, train hockey with us, because we're committed to getting you to, you know, that level up, top level kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you can play with us. And she was like, boom, done. I'm there. That to me screams pro. She wants to be there. She's going to do anything she can. Packed her bags. Boom. See you later. I'm a reserve player, but they don't have to. They don't have to live there and train
Yeah.
there. And she was
Right.
like, "No, I'm going to do this. I want to train with the best." Who wouldn't want to practice with Poulin every day when she's healthy? Who wouldn't want to, you know, battle with Laura Stacy in the corner?
Yeah. And she's
You
a good
know,
example of somebody who's kind of done the same thing. Like she was with Buffalo, I think, in the PHF, and then went to Toronto and then Ottawa. So these girls have been grinding to make this come true. And a lot
yeah.
of the girls who are doing that grinding and moving around so much aren't the ones right at the top tier of the league. So I'm going to
Yeah.
shout them out because
Way to
that's
go,
grinding and I love
ladies.
to see it.
Mm-hmm.
We are less than a week away, Tess,
I
from the
know.
PWHL trade deadline. And the NHL trade deadline, like low-key, it was kind of madness this year as far as deadline days go. Do you have any predictions as to, I don't know, like how much activity we might actually see during the trade deadline? Is there any teams you have circled as, and that's so hard about this. Like, how do you decide if you're a buyer or a seller at the deadline when everybody's within just a few points of one another?
I think I think I think what it is like, where you've put this much time in, you've played what, 16, 17 games?
Yeah.
What isn't clicking yet? You know, if you have like a locker room problem, sure, you're gonna settle that right away, no doubt. And I don't think anybody does, because from everything I've been hearing, you know, everyone's bought in and people are just so incredibly proud to don the jerseys and want to go out there and just give her every day, as they
There's like
should.
so many players lined up. Like
And
anybody, if
that's
there's
it.
any one minor
Like,
issue, you don't want to be the one to
exactly.
step out of line. Yeah.
No. I think injuries are going to be a thing, in terms of, you know, like Montreal did, pick up some depth in proper, you know, scoring. But look, Darwitz had said to me before, she was working on a deal when she picked up Sophie Jakes. When she went after Sophie Jakes and got her, she had said that morning, it was the morning after, she was like, I'm not going to lie to you, I just got off a call. I'm making trade. Like, I want my team to be a no doubter. I want us to be a nightmare to play against, a nightmare going on the road, a nightmare at home. It doesn't matter. We're taking it all, and it's going to be a no doubter. And so I feel like she's aggressively pursuing stuff. And for some teams, they might just be like, nope, we're going good. Thank you very much. But for other teams, they might be like, no, 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 we're okay. Oh, wait, what? You said for who? Who and a what now? Kind of thing. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because she's been creative. And like she said, I'm not just going to trade a player to trade. So I expect to see Minnesota really try and, you know, get some moves going, wheeling and dealing, if you will.
Is there anything like, 'cause I'm just trying to think of what Minnesota needs. Like, what do they need?
Oof, that would be a question for her. Good question.
Thank
Definitely
God.
not
I'm putting
goaltending.
you
I
on the
love their
spot. You
goalies.
got
That's
me
okay.
early.
No, it's okay. You know what? The thing is it's definitely not goaltending. And
No.
for them, I guess they kind of getting Sophie Jakes on the back end and watching her play now, I feel like they definitely filled something that they really needed. When Heisey went down and Shepherds was down, I was like, they need more something up the middle. And in talking with Dara, she was like, nope, we don't. You know, we have players that we purposely took on this team that we felt were, you know, like your tool belt players that can do like a bunch of different things, utility tool, if you will. And so then that really got me scratching my head and going through it. I mean, I think they could use one more defenseman. I mean, Sophie Jakes does tick a box, but I think you need one more Sophie Jakes, quite frankly, if you want to be a championship winning team here. You're going to need one more Sophie Jakes. So, and that's not a knock on any of these players that play on this team. It's just Sophie Jakes is Sophie Jakes, and she's a very talented offensive defenseman that also plays a very, very strong defensive game. She's incredibly smart. Her hockey IQ is great, and I think they need one more of those because you got Lee Steckline already on the back end, who's a well-seasoned vet, right? She's going to be your stay-at-home. Get another one. Get another good one. So your top 3, top 4 are just like you can run them, just all playoffs. Just run them.
Yeah, you need that depth in the postseason. Like you just can't. You need to be 7 or 8 deep in the postseason.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something? I got kind of distracted halfway through when you were talking there because I was like, why is my hair so messed up? But it's Taylor Swift's
It's not.
hair.
It's Taylor.
I know. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm like,
that's
just
good.
get down. I kept touching it.
That is so funny. It just is not a nervous hair swipe.
No. I actively was trying to smooth the album behind me. And with that, my brain obviously working well on this fine. And it's Sunday right now. It'll be Monday when you guys hear this. Let's get to our player interview. This is a good one, y'all. We have one of the most entertaining players in the league, off the ice and on the ice, in our player interview presented by Nobis. As always, Nobis, we love you guys. You were the first ones to hop on, providing everybody who comes on with a jacket and sponsoring this headline segment. And for this week, like I said, it's an absolute thriller. Emma Maltais. Woo! All right, our next guest on the Jocks and Jills podcast presented by CCM is an Olympic gold medalist, a 2-time world champion, and the Ohio State University's all-time point leader. She's a Burlington girl who played her minor hockey with the Oakville Hornets and now plays for PWHL Toronto, where she scored the first ever jailbreak goal in league history. In addition to her star power on the ice, she's one of the most followed and engaged with social media personalities in the league. Everybody, please welcome to Jocks and Jills, Miss Emma Maltais.
I-O. Good kid.
Nice.
I like how Julia said the Ohio State University. Otherwise, she was going to hear it from us, right?
I know.
Yeah, perfect.
You
gotta get that in there.
Thank you, guys. I went to Toronto Met, not the Ohio State, but I try to keep up when I'm on this podcast, and Tessa has all the merch going. I feel like a lot of Ohio State people follow us, actually, so I got to be on my best behavior.
Best Buckeye Nation, baby. She actually has 2 jailbreak goals, Julia. 2 of them, the most in the league.
But she got the first one. Yeah,
I know.
Most in the league.
Yeah, now she's leading the league in jailbreak goals. Also, I mean, I don't know how much this is true. I've heard that Emma doesn't know how to act around dogs. But she was actually at my place, and she was really cool around Tank. So
okay, Tank's a bit different. I don't like when dogs are like jumping. Like I never grew up with a dog. And even my brother just got one, and it like jumps, and I'm like, okay, lower your hand. I don't know. I can't do it. I
actually don't blame you for that at all. When people can't get their dogs under control, there's nothing crazier than being at somebody's house. They've got whatever. It's a small dog. Go ahead. Let it jump on me. You got yourself an 150-pound golden retriever. This is the size of an adult man. Like, it can't be on my chest right now. It's too much. Train your dogs.
Some of these dogs could literally hurt me. I look at, like, I don't know. Even I went over to, like, Pooh and Stace's, and, like, Arlo is just, like, so energetic. And I'm like, oh, it's so cute. But, like, I can't. I'm, like, petting it like this. Yeah.
You can go hang out at Julia's house with all her cats.
I got cats. They'll go under the bed when you come over. You won't even have to see them. They'll scurry out maybe if they're feeling social. It's chill. I've actually made myself to be the least social person on this podcast. Like I actually sound like a gremlin who never leaves my condo on this podcast. Yeah, you can come over and see my cats. They might come out.
Yeah,
that's good.
I'm a cat person. So.
As Julie records from her closet. So growing up, Emma Maltais, what was it like? I mean, it's funny because I take my kids to skating lessons at the pond in Burlington, and your mom dropped the knowledge on me. She was like, "That's where Emma learned," and immediately she was like, "Your kids are gonna make it because my kid went there." And I was like, "Well, I don't know if my kids have the same gumption as yours, but maybe."
I love that you're writing them off. You're like, Theo, Annie, 2 and 3. I don't see it. They just don't have that drive.
I don't know. I just don't want to put my eggs in that basket yet.
Yeah, it's fine.
No, yeah, I learned to skate there. I would I was not a crawler, so I remember like all the little kids would be like actually crawling, and I would be busting around out there. I was pretty fearless at a young age, I would say.
Where did that come from? Like having like an I know your mom's super outgoing. I love your mom, by the way. She's like my alumni weekend party buddy from back when you were playing. But but you know, you have a brother too. So where does that come from? Like, was that innate in you? Was that taught? Where'd that come from?
I feel like my brother just always wanted to like race me to, you know, the fire hydrant. He was like way bigger than me. 4 years older than me, so I feel like I just wanted to beat him. I don't know where like the fearless part came from in terms of like I don't know, I just had no fear at a young age, and I had no fear to like interact with people. Like my brother would have friends over and I would like go play with them. I remember one time they were playing mini sticks, and my brother got like a new mini stick, and I was like using his new mini stick and just like snapped it in half. Like I just like I know I didn't have any fear. It probably came from my mom.
Yeah,
it had to.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
you and your mom have like a pretty cool relationship too. And I remember during COVID and stuff, you were posting some pretty cute videos of you making your mom work out with you. And like your poor mom, I remember she was like, "I'm so sore." I'm like, "Oh, Emma, lay off."
Oh, I made her do like 300-meter shuttles. Like,
Emma?
Yeah, I was like needed a workout partner, and I made her do like plyos, like in our backyard. Like, I have like this video of her like doing like one-legged like lateral plyos.
Your poor mom.
She got shin splints. She had the.
Oh no!
Are you kidding? Yeah, she like got shin splints. She had to go like stop like working out with me, but she was a trooper.
Would you say she's been the most pivotal person in your hockey journey?
Yeah, I mean, her and my dad. My mom just she's so like athletic. Like she goes to the gym like for 3 hours a day. Like she goes and does like body pump or body flow in the morning if she's sore, body flow, and then she literally goes on the cross trainer for 2 hours. Like I'll FaceTime her, like I don't know if I can show you, and it's like this, like she's on the cross trainer like bopping up and down because she
that's such a mom FaceTime.
2 hours every day. It's crazy. So I would say that's where I get like my love to like work out and like be active, definitely.
And then when it comes to hockey and growing up playing, when do you remember thinking, I don't want to be like, yeah, I know I'm sick at this, but when do you remember playing hockey being like, oh, I can make a run at this, I think?
I don't know. I feel like probably when I changed to girls hockey, I was like bantam. So what's that now?
I
don't know.
Yeah, like
14,
15.
Is it?
Yeah. I don't know. But I remember when I changed to girls hockey, I was like, oh, okay, like I don't know. It was like I don't know when though it clicked that I could go to university, because I think like I went to like a camp, like Rush Hockey used to have these like camps where you could like interact with college coaches, and I went like super young. I was like randomly like slotted in there. The guy like reached out and asked me if I wanted to go, and I remember just like it clicking to me like, oh, I can go to school for this. Like it was insane. I think I was in like grade 7, grade 8. Like when I went to this camp and I was like talking to these college coaches. Yeah, I feel like that's the moment.
Good time to figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm being serious. That is the perfect time to figure it out because you got the rest of your high school years ahead of you, which can go one way or another, as we all know. And I feel like in that moment, you kind of decide, right? Like, all right, I'm going to take this seriously because now I have something to work for. Exactly what the PWHL is now for people on top of the NCAA or U Sport. So for yourself, I feel like you switched over to girls hockey kind of late.
Yeah.
So was that a tough transition?
No, like I mean I played like summer hockey with the girls because my parents like wanted me to have friends. Not that the guys weren't my friends, but like they were like, okay, let's make sure she has some friends too and get that camaraderie. The transition was pretty smooth. I remember the only reason I left boys hockey, that the boys were just like starting to get massive. I was this height, so I was a beast compared to all of them when I started, and then all of a sudden they like sprouted up, and I actually did a year of hitting. I was in that awkward like 1 year of hitting, 1 year off of hitting, like when it was like changing.
When the rules changed,
yeah. So that helped.
That's crazy. That's obviously probably helped you. I mean, because we've said from day one when your team was struggling at the beginning of the season that you and Spooner were literally the only ones like throwing body, trying to change momentum, and that hasn't stopped any game at all for you. So you feel like that's just like brought you back to those days when you got to show the boys who was boss out there?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I learned how to hit like I did hitting clinics and stuff because my parents were so nervous about me hitting with the guys. So I feel like just learning how to hit properly definitely helps me like now, because especially with low center of gravity, you figure out like where to hit taller people, and it's definitely, people think it's not an advantage, thinks it's a disadvantage, but it's definitely an advantage. So it helped.
That's awesome. And then when did you start getting recruited? Like when did Muzz and OSU come into play, and why OSU?
Well, I did that camp and I met Nate Handerhan there. He was the coach of OSU.
Back then,
yeah, back then. And I went on my first visit to OSU grade 8. And I was like blown away, and I was like, I want to go here. And it was honestly pretty quick after that. It's kind of crazy how my parents like wanted me to like decide early, and they were like, we don't want you to like wait around, and like, because they knew like more schools would reach out and they knew I was indecisive. So they were like, we really like Ohio State for you. We like the vibe, whatever. It's an amazing school, good academically. I wasn't going to go Ivy.
No Ivy. I'm with you on the no Ivy train. No Ivy.
Not going Ivy. So my dad literally like put a spreadsheet, and it was like all the schools that I had been talking to at that point. It wasn't that many. And he put like all the different like factors. So like campus feel, academics, coaching staff, strength of hockey team, all these things. And he like did the Excel thing with all the numbers, like ranking what's important. And I would like plug in and rank each of the categories based on the school.
Yeah.
And Ohio State was like above all of them by a mile. I think like Northeastern was right there too. I was deciding between those two. And he literally just like put me in the computer room one day and was like, you should decide this today. And I decided that day, and I just called Nate and committed to Nate that day.
And so you were how old when you verbally committed?
Grade 9.
Grade 9. So you hadn't even done your official visit yet.
No. Just the unofficial one.
Wow. We heard official visit.
Yeah, we heard some things about your official visit.
No.
Yeah. Poor Maddie Field. I like Maddie. Maddie's awesome.
Hi.
Maddie Field was your host, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I knew Maddie from Hornets. I actually committed to Ohio State before Maddie committed there. Like, I was convinced her to go to Ohio State. I was like, you should go to Ohio State. Why don't you look at it? Because she was kind of waiting around. So that was a big reason why she kind of took another look at it, which was huge. But yeah, she was my host, and I slept with her in her bed and stuff, and I freaking gave her lice. Like, come on.
Okay, so how old were you when this happened, and how mortifying of an experience was it?
Nah, it gets better. The story gets better. Explain.
Okay, so I had to leave my official early. So I was going into my, like, it was U18 nationals right after. So I'm like, what, 17? Like 16, 17.
The most easily embarrassing age. Like, anything could make you embarrassed
who
when you're
gets
15,
lice
16,
at that age?
17.
Like, I don't know. I think I got it from, like, Adventure Works, like when you wear those helmets, like, and climb the poles. 'Cause I went to one of those, like, pretty, like, soon before, and my head was itchy, like, and I was like, "Oh, I just have, like, psoriasis." I was like, "Oh, I just have dry skin." Like, telling people, like, "I just have dry skin." And I remember I had to leave early, and I went to U18 National, so I hopped on a plane, like, after this official visit, having lice, and I give it to not only all the girls on the Ohio State team, because it was my birthday weekend, and they took me to a birthday party. Like, who wants to take a recruit to, like, a little birthday party, like dinner with the coach? And then I hop on a plane to go to U18 Nationals, and I have lice, and I give it to, like, I gave it to Lexi Gia. I gave it to Brooke. Yeah, Brooke Jovanovich. And I think another girl. And I was, like, itching. Like, there was videos of me, like, pretending to have lice, like, saying, "Oh, I don't have lice," and, like, itching my head on the plane. Like, and
it was like Rudy Gobert pre-COVID. Like, it was, like, exactly like that.
It was. And then, of course, like, Sherry Piper was, like, the boss of UAT Nationals, whatever, and she intimidated me so much, and she was the person who picked the bugs out of my hair.
What? You're kidding.
No, I remember sitting in the bathtub. So they, like, tell me, "Yep, you have lice." I was sitting in the bathtub, and the trainer and Sherry Piper, like, helping pick bugs out of my hair.
So what is the text that you send to your, like, new friends at Ohio State? Like, hey,
yeah,
I might have given you lice.
I texted Tatum, and who was on the official visit with me, and Maddie, and I was like, "Oh my god, I am so sorry, but I have lice. Like, you have to tell everyone. I have lice. Like, they all have to get checked." And they had a team meeting, and Muzzy, like, told the whole team that I had lice, and everyone had to get checked.
And you haven't even gone there for a day.
Like,
that is so tough to start.
Was there not someone on your team that was like, "Why is there a bug jumping off your hair or something?"
Well, I don't know. Like, I think on the plane, when I was, like, joking about how itchy my head was, someone was like, "No, you should actually get checked. Like, I can, like, see." I don't know if maybe it was just Digiloramo. I think Digi was the one that was like, "No, maybe you should, like, actually get checked."
As she keeps you arm's distance. And so whoever probably sat in your seat after you likely also got lice, I'm just going to assume, on the plane. Or actually, no, the plane,
I don't know.
it's all leather, right? Or something? I haven't flown in a long time, clearly. My goodness.
I don't know. I hope not, for their sake. It was awful and awful.
So you go to Ohio State. How long after? Like, when you go to school eventually, is everyone like, are you lice girl?
No, no, I wasn't lice girl. Like, it was definitely joked about a lot.
Yeah.
But thank gosh, they kind of, like, blew over. That was, like, a year before I went there.
It had some time to fix itself.
It had some time.
I love it. And I feel like that didn't, like, just everything that we hear. We had Spooner on, and she was like, Emma goes around the locker room, and she's the one that is the hype girl. She's getting everybody going. And it just seems like, when you're out there playing hockey on the ice, you're like, I don't know, like a little bit of a pit bull. Like, I see you, like, you're hungry, you're after it. Like, you take people down when they're in your way. Like, you're an aggressor. You're serious when you're out there, and I don't want to say not nice, but you're not nice out there, and that's the way you should play. But outside of that and in the locker room, I feel like, you know, you've got a ton of personality. You are constantly making people laugh. So, like, I'm scrolling through my phone right now. I got like 27 videos from one of your Ohio State roommates of just you being the goofiest person. So I guess, you know, where does that come from? Is that just, you know, making people feel comfortable, or is that just you loving getting laughs?
I think it's just like loving getting laughs. My freshman year at Ohio State, that team was like insane personalities. Like if you look at some of those personalities, oh my goodness, like and I was
Who,
roommates with Tatum,
who was your seniors that year?
like Lynn Halverson
Okay.
and like Danny Sadik. They were like Liv Halverson is probably one of the funniest people I know. So I like hung out with a lot of them like very young, and they would egg me on a lot. Like a lot of my Ohio State friends egg me on tons. Like if you can see those videos, like they're like, I don't know, something just happens when I'm around them, and I just like I got
like
it. I got it.
Where's the banana suit come from on a bike? Like, what's that? What's the story behind the banana suit on a bike?
I like love dressing up. I don't know what it is. I like love Halloween. I love being in a costume. I think I found that like we were at a lacrosse party, and I think I just like found that in their house and put it on, and that's their bike. Like I was riding their bike. I just took their bike, and the guy was chasing me and being like, "Give my bike back." Oh, I just found that.
That's hilarious. And I feel like that kind of, you know, equally transfers over to the walk-ins. I mean, obviously fashion is different than dressing up in a banana suit.
I think the banana is fashionable. It qualifies.
Well, you know what? Let's see the banana on the walk-in. Do you still have it?
No, I don't.
It was a one-night thing.
I could order one. Yeah, I could order
I'm sure
one.
you could.
Very accessible.
Right. Yeah.
Banana inspo.
Yeah.
For the walk. But you are into like fashion and beauty and whatnot, and like you go out and you get like eyebrow lamination stuff happening. Is anything like terrible have ever happened in like those experiences? Or because like I feel like you're moving into new cities, you got to find new places to go.
It's actually an underrated
Oh my
struggle going to a new
gosh.
city,
It
having to find
is.
like an eyebrow person.
Oh, well, my eyebrows, like, they're not existent, right? Like, I, in high school, had zero eyebrows. Like, you couldn't see them. So it was like a big journey for me to find my eyebrows. Like, you know, like it was a big journey.
That's special.
So I wanted to get them laminated for the first time, and this was like post Olympics. So I was like kind of going through it, whatever, like trying new things.
Yeah.
And I went to this place in Columbus called like I don't remember what it was called. But it was like it had good reviews. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go get them laminated and tinted, which I normally do get them tinted, but like I just start doing them myself because it's so unreliable. And I remember I walked in and this lady was like, she told me she was new. So I was like,
that
okay.
is not what you want to hear from
No.
your eyebrow person. That is the last thing you want to hear.
First day on the job.
I'm like lying there and I can like feel her like almost like panicking and like going and like she kept leaving and going to ask her boss for help. Like I heard her and yeah, and coming back and like leaving and coming back and I was lying there like, oh my gosh, like I don't know what's happening right now. And you know when like you get the mirror like after you're done,
yeah,
and you're like lying there, and I remember just like looking at my eyebrows, and they were just these like black, like massive, like she like tinted like my skin around, and they were spiked up and laminated, and I was like, I almost started to cry. I was like, oh, they're dark. That's all I said. Just kidding.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, they're a little darker than I anticipated, and I was like, yeah, they're black. Like they're black.
So how did she fix it?
I didn't know what to do. So I paid. I paid, I tipped, I left. I had to get out of there.
Oh
And
man.
I took a selfie in the car and I was like I like instantly sent it to people. I'm like, oh, I was distraught, and I called my one friend on Ohio State, Quinn, and she has, like, the best eyebrows, and she was like, "Emma, come home. I will try and help you." And she was in my bathroom scrubbing my face, like, oh my goodness, and the worst part about it is I was meeting my now boyfriend's my boyfriend at the time too, sisters for the first time that day.
It's eyebrows are just so indicative of a person. Like, you don't want to be meeting someone with crazy eyebrows.
The picture is so good.
I went back the next day because people were like, "You have to complain. Like, you paid for that, Emma. Like, you paid." And I went back, and the manager was there, and she was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry." And she had to like go to the store and get products to like try and fix them. And then they were red. They were red after that. Like she tried to help, but they were like ginger, and it was just not.
How long did it take for them to not be that?
Oh my gosh, like a while. Like, oh,
something only time could heal. That's hard.
Yeah.
Eyebrows are traumatizing one.
Yeah, and I went to my boyfriend's baseball game, and he saw me after, and he was like, "Oh, nice eyebrows." Like, I was like, "Yeah, I know, but like,
not what I want to hear right now."
Thank you so much for your constructive feedback. That's really what I needed.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Hey,
that's awesome.
My God, I gotta recover. I snorted. I laughed so hard. Thank you, Emma, for your eyebrows. Oh my God. So when you were first, you obviously tore it up at Ohio State. Like, what would you define your role as a player at Ohio State as? Like when Muzzy came in and was like, you know, you're here obviously for a reason. What did you think your role was at Ohio State?
Yeah, I felt like I felt like a pretty big responsibility, like quite quick there. Like I don't know. I felt like I needed to produce, like help the team win as much as I could. And yeah, like I felt like comfortable right away, but that culture was just like different. We were like underdogs to the max. So I feel like that's really where I got my like chip on shoulder underdog mentality, was playing, like especially those first 2 years at Ohio State when we were like grinding it out. But yeah.
And I feel like Muzz would be perfect to like really talk a group up with that, hey?
Oh my goodness. And like some of the stuff we did for like mental toughness on that team, like we were so tough. Like she would do things like before, like I don't know if it was before playoffs, but she would like pair you up with someone that was like equal skill level to you. So I was always with Tatum. Like me and Tatum were always on the opposite teams, like paired up. And it was just one-on-one battles the whole practice, and they would like keep score. Wow. And like it was basically like trying out to like see who's better, and like she really made it like that kind of thing. And then like she would put twists on it. So she would make two separate teams. So you had your like partner, you were going against the other team, and she would tell one team like, okay, you're gonna chirp this other team the entire practice. Like you're gonna be in their ear the whole practice, like be ruthless. And she told the other team like, you're not allowed to react. And she like put players on the teams that were like more like, I was on the soft team because I was quite soft my freshman year.
So you just had to take it. They're just ripping
just
you.
Just take it. And like you, like it sounds insane, but like that brought us like so close, because we would like, we were like the closest I've ever been to a group that year, and just like so insanely tough. Like nothing could get to us. So if we're playing, a team like way better, like all these Olympians on it, we're like not even phased. It was crazy.
So that year, how far did you guys make it that year?
Frozen Four.
You made Frozen Four that year, hey? Yeah, she only missed Frozen Four like once, I think, in her coaching career, hey?
Sophomore year, we didn't make it.
Yeah.
Wow. But that freshman year, like we did not belong there. Like we were like taking photos of like the banners like outside of the rink. Like we were so excited to be there. We were so like loud and annoying at like the banquet before, like celebrating like everything. And they would say Ohio State, we'd be like, yeah, Ohio State. So bad.
Just
That's
happy to be
awesome.
here.
Just so happy to be there. It was insane. And we should have won. We should have won that game. They disallowed Jinsey Dunn's goal.
Yeah.
But
Now Jinsey Rose playing for Ottawa. Lots of OSU ladies repping in the league. I love it. So the year you first get the call to go try out for Team Canada, I remember Cassie Campbell reached out to me and she was like, what do you know about this Maltais character? And I said, all you got to do is get to know her mom and you'll know the rest. And she was like, I don't know what that means, but I like it. And I remember you went to camp and everything that I was like, how's Emma doing? I was just checking in with everybody. I think I'd even reached out to you just to see how you were feeling. And everyone was like, massive fan. Like, no one works harder than this kid and her confidence. And I feel like everything you explained that Muzz trained you for to be successful at Ohio State is exactly what Team Canada was missing and needed at that time. And you were like this young buck that came up and everyone was like, like this, the leader of like the toughness brigade, I guess. But so what was it like for you, going from Ohio State where you knew you had a defined role, you knew what it was every day going in, you were a points producer, you were someone that contributed regularly on the offense, to then go into a Team Canada tryout not really knowing where or how you would fit in?
Yeah, that camp in Halifax was where it kind of clicked for me. Is right before the one where the Worlds got canceled there. And I just, like you said, like I just was, because centralization was going up and I had this like insane, like in the back of my mind, like I really want to be centralized. Like that was like, like I really, really wanted that. And I don't know, like that camp I played with Stace and Soph. And I remember I just like never took my foot off the gas like in any game. And I was like going to the net and like fighting with Pooh, like scrapping people. Like I was like really trying to be a little shit. And I remember Troy came up to me and he was like showing me like video of some times where I was like kind of going where it almost looks like too hard. And he's like, keep doing this because no one's doing this right now. And you'll be successful if you keep doing this. So that really stuck with me. And I was like, okay, like, yes, quick. Because every other camp before that, like, I just was so intimidated. I didn't want to mess up. I was so like staring at all my idols being like,
I know what it's
how
like.
do I perform? Yeah. How do I perform?
It's hard. Yep.
Yeah. Like given that little chance to play with Stace and Soph in that camp and just like kind of finding my groove was a big moment for me. So I don't know where it all clicked, but it happened to be good timing.
Did you have vets take you under their wing at that camp?
Well, so I went to the rivalry series in Pittsburgh before that. And I didn't say a word. I didn't speak to anyone.
I cannot picture this at
all. No, funny you mention it. Weren't you roommates with Spooner? When were you roommates with Spooner?
Yeah. And I was like taking photos of her.
Yeah.
Like
she's like, I don't think she thinks
you're like taking pics in the corner.
Legit, this is what Spooner said. I don't think she knows that I know, but she would like hide under her covers and sneak Snapchat pictures of me and send them to her friends. No way. So I'm glad that you admitted it.
Photos of her. I was like, I was so weird. Like I was beside Pooh in the locker room and I like couldn't look at Pooh. Like I was like trying to be like, don't look, like like keeping it cool. I couldn't keep it cool. And so they probably just thought I was some weirdo.
No.
But
I think that's why everybody loves you, is because you wear your heart on the sleeve and you're just so incredibly honest and unapologetically you, and that's so great.
Yeah. So thank you. But I don't know when I started like getting comfortable. It was more like in that Worlds before the centralization, where I actually started to like kind of show my personality, and it was very encouraged. So it made me feel like really comfortable, and the leadership group really made that easy for me, because it's hard. Like if you're a young kid, you don't want to like step on people's toes or anything of what's, so
Yeah.
they were so great to me about it. So but for leadership, like Pooh, obviously, and I sat between Pooh and Malo in my first World, and that was like, I thought was like so cool and like so awesome. They were so great with me. And then Laura Stacy was always someone who really took me under her wing. Like I look up to her so much. I think she's so unique in the way that she's like super well balanced in her life, and she's super like willing to give advice always to anyone, and like really personable. So she's someone too that helped me. And then Spoons with her mom hugs too.
Mom hugs.
Yeah.
Mom hugs.
Spoonie gives the mom hugs just to you though.
Have they
everyone.
changed like since she actually became a mom?
Oh yeah.
Like they're more mom-like now?
Yeah.
They kind of are. I love her and Rougeau give like the best hugs every day.
Good huggers. You appreciate a good hug.
Good huggers.
That's sweet. So Worlds in 2021 in the bubble in Calgary, you guys win there. You get the first like gold medal around your neck. You're playing a different role there though than you're probably used to at Ohio State. Like how I always think about that with like you and Nursey and Spooner, you play such a different role. Lots of the girls play such a different role on the national team than you do in college or with your club team. What was that transition like?
Yeah, I feel like though, like I knew that's how I was gonna make the team. Like if I was gonna make it, I wasn't gonna, not knocking off Pooh, and like there was no room for the skilled, like for not skilled, like everyone's skilled, but you know what I mean? Like the only holes were in that fourth line position, and I was like, if I do this really well, then I have a chance to make it. And that's all I cared about.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely hard when you don't play, but I had like unreal line mates, like with Jill and Stace that whole year. At Worlds it was Nursey and Jill. But like Jill and Stace, like we just had so much fun. Like we literally have tattoos of the number 4.
Ask. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Explain why.
Bonded.
Explain why. What does the 4 represent?
Fourth
Obviously
line.
The line.
Yeah.
But you were given a task at the head of the 2022 Olympics by your assistant coach, and I believe he told you if you guys could contribute 2 goals in the entire tournament, that the team would be successful, and you guys knocked that off in the first game. So what was your mentality, I guess, the rest of the way?
Like we just wanted to make an impact in any way we could, and we were just so like unapologetically ourselves on the bench. Even like I've never had that where like it's obviously you want to play, but when you're surrounded by like people cracking jokes like on the bench, like it brings such a different like energy to the team. And like then when we went out there, like the girls were fired up. Like I will never forget the moment like I scored in the 9-2 game against Switzerland or whatever, and like the like genuine happiness that people had for me when I scored was just like so nice, because it's just like, oh, like people, like it's actually helping like what we're doing, because sometimes it's hard when you're not playing, like you don't see the impact. And then it was like moments like that I like cherished so much, because it was like, oh, like okay, people love us and love what we're trying to do here.
There's something kind of magical. Sorry, Tess.
No, all you go.
Yeah, about that 2022 Olympic team. Like we had Jill on last week and she was talking about it, and it seems like anybody who was on that team or around that team doesn't even know how to put it into words. Just you guys had the it factor or something special about it, and there was kind of never a doubt that you were going to come home with the gold medal. What do you remember that was kind of special and unique about that 2022 group?
Oh, there's just so much love in that room, like so much love, and just like encouraging people to like be themselves. And like we had this thing where you did the pregame, I don't know if anyone, I'm sure people have talked about this, like the pregame speech would like rotate who would do it. And at first it was like quite serious. It was like Blair and Pooh like kind of doing the captain thing. And then like Kristen O'Neill in the middle of centralization. We were in Finland. And she all of a sudden like rips out this like song to like "We Will Rock You," like that beat, and she's like remixing this song about us. And like Krista O'Neill's like pretty quiet, and it got the girls so fired up. And after that, everyone who did a pregame speech was like doing something different and crazy. Just stuff like that, like Philly like roasted everyone. That was hers, and that's just Philly. Like, but imagine like the youngest kid on the team feeling comfortable to just like roast people and people loving it. Like it was just such a unique culture where everyone just had that open door to be themselves.
Philly, by the way, is Sarah Fillier. And when we were saying Muzz earlier, Muzz is Nadine Muzzerall, head coach of Ohio State. I feel like we're rhyming off these names. And people listening are like, who are these people? But the number 4, where'd the idea come from to get that? And where did you get it done?
I think Jill said, if we get those 2 goals, like we're getting this tattoo. And like we thought like Stace would back out. I remember like
why?
I don't know. I just like she doesn't like I don't know. I feel like she doesn't like strike like anyone as a tattoo kind of person. Like, and she did it, and everyone was so like shocked that she actually did it. And like she got it on the most visible spot on her ankle or foot or I was visiting Montreal. And we went to a tattoo shop and we got it together, which was such a cool moment.
That's awesome. After when you were obviously with the national team going for the Olympic gold, Ohio State won the national championship while you guys were gone. And you were a part of the group that obviously had their season canceled. So you were able to opt in for another year of eligibility, which you did. Did the fact that you missed that national championship, you were there watching, I'm quite sure.
Oh, right? Yeah. I was sobbing. Sobbing.
So you were there watching the ladies win. Watching them win, did that kind of like give you the no doubt answer? Like, I'm coming back to do this again. We're going back to back.
Oh, totally. I wanted one. I think that like it was so hard to watch that because I was so like wanting to be on the ice with them, but it was such a cool moment to see like a school like our trajectory was just like crazy, and like just to see some of the girls like relief and faces after they won, it was so heartwarming and like such an amazing moment. I was happy I could like watch them do it. It was so amazing. But yeah, I obviously wanted one myself too. I was like, okay, like I want to come back next year and do it again. And I mean, it was too bad that we didn't, but I said it after after that game in our press conference. I just was like, I literally came to the school thinking that I would never beat Wisconsin, let alone say that I made a national championship. Like I never would have even dreamed of it. So it's all perspective. Like, yeah, I wanted one, but it was pretty cool what happened when we were there. And I feel like I'm a part of that one, even if I don't have it underneath my name or whatever. I feel like Ohio State family all feels like they're a part of it anyway. Yeah.
We all were. My alumni chats were blowing up. We're national champions. Like we had anything to do with it. We didn't really. So nonetheless, it was awesome. It was wicked to see the ladies pull it off. And like we said, we all started kind of really making alumni weekend a thing because we wanted to get to know all of you ladies. Like we started right at the beginning, right? When there weren't many before us. And so now that there were a lot of us and you guys were really starting to kick butt and take names, we were like, we got to get behind these ladies. Like, let them know we care. And so it was really cool to, tune in. Muzz was great, letting us know where to tune in online and how to watch and support you ladies. So, I mean, albeit the loss when you went back was tough. It was a 1-0 loss. Who was the goalie that year for Wisconsin? Man, they played really
Cronish.
good. Yeah. God, what a Buckeye killer she was. She was driving me nuts. I was like, don't worry, Emma's got this. And I felt like she had an answer for everything you had. I'm like, would she just stop doing that? Not you, her. Stop stopping the puck. Anyways, she deserved it. It was a great win. You guys played great. It was wicked to see. But now you're a pro and you're playing for Toronto. And Julia really doesn't really know your mom the way I do, but she really wanted to know who of your family members was the most excited that you were drafted to Toronto and staying close to home. And there's an obvious answer.
Yeah, my mom.
Yeah. She was like crying at the draft. She was so happy.
Oh yeah.
Were you expecting to
this-
stay close to home, or were you hoping to? Were you totally surprised by it?
No, I did not think I would go to Toronto. I really didn't. I really, really didn't. And I don't know. I thought that like I had some conversations with like Ottawa and Montreal and honestly that big D frenzy that happened put a big wrench in all my expectations, and I just was like sitting there like I have no idea where I'm about to go.
Yeah.
Like you can try and predict, but no.
Yeah.
And then yeah.
The second Larocque went, everyone panicked on defense. Everyone was like, "Uh-oh.
We gotta pick D.
Get all the
and
D."
New York picking Ella. Is
Yep.
that next? And it was like boom, 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 boom.
Great pickup.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Your outfit that day, how'd you decide?
I just wanted to, I don't know, I wanted to express myself, and I found those shoes. Like it was the last pair in the store. On my size. I'm like, I'm wearing these, and I just walked around the mall till I found a blazer that matched, and it literally matched identical. And I put the outfit on later. My mom's like, "You look like Barbie." I'm like, I'm just gonna go for it and do the Barbie hair then.
I love
Why
that.
not? Yeah.
And Barbie was the perfect moment then too. It was so hot. It was like it was the perfect time to do it. I feel like as much as I love following you as a hockey player in Toronto, I also like following your Toronto recommendations online. Coffee connoisseur, could you give us your top 5 coffee shops in Toronto?
5. Yeah, like I love Broadflower near us.
Nice.
Balzac's is obviously good. It's like the classic one right in Liberty Village. I like Neo Coffee Bar. Those are the 3 that I've like loved so far. There's one I don't remember the name. It was like a flower shop and a coffee.
Oh, I
and
know
a
what you're
coffee
talking about. It
shop.
has like farm
Yeah.
in the name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one was cool. Yeah, I have this app like Third Wave, and it's like all the different coffee shops. Have you heard of that app?
No, I'll have to get on that. That's good. I'm very loyal to Milky's. I wander up Bathurst Street every day.
Oh
Milky's
yeah,
has
I
all
went
my
to
money.
Milky's today.
Oh yeah? It's a good Sunday spot. It's a good vibe.
I don't
But in
drink
terms
coffee,
of-
so I don't know what you guys are even talking about. Not a clue, but I love
You
the
don't
flower
drink
idea.
coffee? Oh
No,
my gosh.
no.
I feel like
I'm
Tessa doesn't need coffee is the vibe.
That's
What?
why I'm surprised. You're so
No.
energetic.
Yeah, it's like the Red Bull and stuff. But I
Okay.
only do it when I need it, when I absolutely need it, when I'm like really dying.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that checks
Um,
out.
Totally. Other than that, you love living in the city. You're having fun downtown. Your Toronto team, I have to ask you, what was it? What has changed? Because I have my thoughts and ideas, but like from your first 7 till now, what? The wins that you guys have been rhyming off, it can't just be like, oh, we stuck to it. It was something. What happened? And what was it like in those first
weird.
games where you guys, like, what's the locker room like? Like, are you still being
See,
goofy in there?
Yeah, like honestly, like we were talking about this, like I don't think we've changed that. I think we've definitely sharpened up a lot of like our system play and like executing, and obviously putting the puck in the net, which is a big thing. But like when we were losing, like yeah, it sucks to lose, and like we were like, you have to think like of our roster, like no one's used to losing like that. Like we lost like however many in a row, and we were just like, I can't believe we're like losing. Like it was just like this. And I was like, oh my goodness, because I saw our roster in the beginning of the year, and I was like, damn, we have a good roster, and it's deep, and like so many elements to this. So when we were losing, I was like, oh no, like, are we going to be the laughingstock of the league? Like a little bit of panic and a little like, like, no, let's turn this around. But the locker room was like kind of still awesome. Like we just kept going. Like it was still a joy to go to the rink. Still goofy, still fun. Like, and I don't know what happened when it just clicked and we just took off. Like it's funny. Like I don't think anyone has an answer we're just going with it.
But how much fun is it to go to the rink every single day right now? I know it's fun because you get to play pro hockey. It's the PWHL. Like, it's always fun, but is there just a little extra juice riding 9 in a row right now?
Of course. Like, I think right now we're rolling, but we're not overconfident right now, which is like, I like that. Like, we still know and think that there's a lot more room to be even better. Like, and I think in the beginning of the season, our emotion control was kind of off. So it was like a big moment like this and then a bad moment. And we were kind of like this in the game. So now it's nice to see that we're winning all these games and we're kind of just still calm, cold, and collected and know that, like, I don't know, we have much more to give. I don't think we're playing our best hockey yet.
Really? Yeah, that's terrifying.
Feel like you've said that. I heard Troy say that. I heard Spooner say that after the game on Friday. Like, you guys all seem to think you have more to give. Another question about Montreal. How do you guys keep beating them? Like, what's the deal with that? You guys really have their number.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, that game was a battle. I don't know.
Was awesome. That game had playoff vibes on Friday.
Yeah. Those games to play in are like, they're fun. They're feisty.
It was physical.
Yeah. I know. I don't know. I like, obviously I have friends on that team, so I'm like worried after, like, oh, hopefully they're like not like mad at us. Like, I don't know. Like, it's getting so feisty out there. Like, it was crazy. But yeah, I don't know how we have their number. I feel like, honestly, our last game was our best game so far. I thought that was the most complete, consistent game we played. Like, period 1 through 3. Like, there was more flow. It felt better, I think.
You say that, but when you and I were hanging out at the International Women's Day event that we did together, you were like, I don't even want to face Debian in the playoffs. Why?
I know. Well, I just feel like it's Debian. Like, come on. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Like,
is that the answer? Yeah, it's Debian.
Yeah, it's Debian. Like, she just, like, I don't know. Like, something about Deb, like, she just, like, makes those saves, and it's just like, like, a goalie with that much confidence, like, when a goalie just is like, nothing can phase her, I feel like that's just intimidating a little bit.
Yeah.
Fair.
I also love
the inside scoop.
Yeah. I also love your hot take, and we won't keep you for too much longer. It's getting late, but I love your hot takes TikTok series as well. Do you have PWHL Toronto or PWHL in general hot take that you could maybe leave us with here on the Jocks and Jills podcast? I know I'm putting you kind of on the spot with that, but
or even
hot
like
take,
firing hot with the spicy takes.
Hot take: our team's the most fun.
Oh.
Okay, I agree with that. You guys really seem to be vibing right now.
Yeah,
and
you're going to challenge
chance.
You're going to challenge
the
New York
PWHL Toronto games. I just mean off the ice, like the ole Emma Maltais. I can't tell you. I did have a glass of wine, and I was deep into the ole Emma Maltais chants.
She's got her own cheering section.
Yeah,
I don't know who those people are, and like.
Gord. It's Gord.
Oh, well, Gord. Yeah, I have Gord. But you see Emanation there?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. It's Gord that's messaging me. He's like, come on down. I'm like, Gord, I'm not at the game. I'm covering it from studio.
Wait, that's so funny. Yeah, I'm lucky. I have so much support around here too, like with my friends from high school, and like they're so awesome. Like, oh, they're like
who's Gord?
Gord is my like Laura Ellis from high school, one of my best friends from high school, her dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gordy. Got it.
He was bringing it.
So hot take, your team has the most fun. You claim that you outdo New York on the fun zone, which is fine. We'll just have to we'll reevaluate at the end of the season. What about compliment of the week? Do you have a compliment of the week for us?
Wait, why? What are you talking about, dude?
I did this thing at Ohio State where I would just like run around and scream compliments at people because I felt like confidence was like the one thing that everyone was lacking in our room. And I did that for my pregame speech in centralization. That was my version. And I screamed at people and encouraged bad behavior, but it was It was, yeah.
It's okay. It worked, clearly.
I love
Compliment of the
that.
week. Love your podcast. Compliment of the week.
Thank you.
Aw, thanks, Emma. You're the best. And you're the best for hanging out with us on this Sunday night and giving us so many laughs about Ohio State and lice and other various things with life. We appreciate the time so much. You're such a blast. You're such a joy to watch on and off the ice. Thank you so much for hopping on with us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun.
OH.
I know.
All right. Thank you so much again to Nobis for sponsoring all of our player interviews this year. Emma Maltais, we are still recovering. My abs hurt. My face hurts. My makeup is running. Like, she's so funny. I knew she was going to be funny. Yeah, from cry laughing. That was amazing. That was I kind of like this Sunday night vibe because I'm excited that everyone will be able to hear this podcast right when they kind of wake up in the morning type thing. And also, I feel like on Sundays we have a particular, I don't know, it made that interview more entertaining for some reason, the fact that we're all kind of chilling here at nighttime. So thank you, Nobis. Thank you, Emma. You guys are both the best. And now, we teased this last week. You guys all helped us out how to put together a mailbag segment and what to call it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You guys sent in lots of questions. We appreciate it. Next week, if you want to hear kind of your question or your thought heard, make sure to send us an email. jocksandjills@gmail.com, and we will put up this is a soft launch of this segment. We'll call it the soft launch of, ready for it? It's the send it segment here on Jocks and Jills. So you guys send us your questions, your concerns, your thoughts, whatever you want to know about the league, and we'll pick out a few every week to read. And that name came courtesy of Sally Lafreniere. I hope I pronounced your last name right. So thank you so much, Sally, for inspiring our send it segment.
Right, send it, Julia. Send it.
Let's send it. Let's go with this question. I'm really struck by how interesting all the rule changes are from what I'm used to seeing in the NHL. The scoring, the draft, and the pick your own opponent playoff format, and perhaps my favorite, the jailbreak goal. Yeah. There are obviously more. To me, these elements add excitement and individuation. That's a word. To the professional women's game. My question is, who is involved in making these decisions? How do they come up with the ideas, and who approves them? I know some of this was tested in the preseason. I would like to understand how this all comes to be. Are there experts brainstorming in a conference room somewhere? Some of this coming from different iterations of the women's professional game. So lots of these people test who are making these calls and innovating these decisions in the PW.
Yeah, so do you. And I feel like there's the PWHL PA, so the Players Association. So everyone is in on it, right? We've got these ideas. Let's try them out. The ladies obviously want the league to be unique and run a certain way. And I feel like what I love about this is that the rules that they have implemented really eliminate the stuff that people hate about professional sports already. The tanking, I can't, we got to rest so-and-so late in the season because, it doesn't matter if we finish first or second, like whatever. No, there's no resting anybody at any time, no matter what team you're playing, because points matter all the way until the end. And I think that that's what the ladies wanted. They wanted it highly competitive. They wanted to avoid the tanking. So yeah, these rules are brought to table. Berkey's at the table, obviously, too. Yeah. Brian Burke.
So Liz Knox, Brian Burke,
Kendall Coyne,
more names. Kendall Coyne,
Sarah Nurse. There's the whole enchilada. Everybody's in there, and they talk about it, and they basically agree to disagree to do these things. And I think that for the ladies, they had some asks that they put forward too, right? Like the body contact. They wanted that. They brought in AHL refs to make sure that it was being reffed properly that way. So it's a collaboration. And I think the hardest thing for the women was the fact that they had so much control with the PWHPA that they initially had over all the decisions that were made. Then they handed it over to someone new. So it was nice to see that, they still had input on these rulings and some of the rules, and that, the league then respected it as well to have the vote and have them have a say on what they liked or didn't like in terms of getting these rules approved. I love it. I love everything about it. Yeah. I love that, there was no, they didn't shy away from doing something that everybody, like, look, the NHL has talked about all of these rules. They have.
Yeah.
And so then the one rule that I hope to see soon that Renata Fast talked about on trade deadline day was that, every penalty is like a major. So even if you score on the power play, it's still there. You still have the rest of the time to score more goals, unless obviously a jailbreak is scored. So it'll be interesting to see how these rules develop and change moving forward. But so far, I think they've nailed it. And the collaboration between the league and the PWHL I think is awesome.
And that question came from Leah Dolgoy. So thank you so much for sending it in. Next question. This one comes from Raul Sapra. Does PWHL Toronto move into a new arena next year with more capacity? I get this question 24/7, so I felt like we should read this one because I get it so much, like walking the streets in the concourse of the arena. I don't think we can answer yes or no definitively here, Tess, but we've both heard that there's definitely interest. We know that the league really likes that rink at the Mattamy Athletic Center. It's downtown. There's already a hockey team that plays there. Everything about that arena really works. We know the PWHL likes that arena, but of course they'd like to get more people. And the one that often gets talked about, of course, is Coca-Cola Coliseum down at the CNE grounds there. And I think there's potential.
So what does every professional sports team have on their playing surface? Their logo.
Yeah.
And they will never have it at Coca-Cola Center, and they will never have it at Mattamy. But the Mississauga Steelheads have recently moved out of their rink. And that arena holds more
That's a hot topic in my household right now because Liam used to be the captain there, my boyfriend, and they're getting rid of all the signage. I'm trying to get my paws on all of it. It's a hot topic. Anyways,
someone get Julia some signage. But yeah, I think that rink would be perfect. It's not far out from downtown.
I hate that rink. This is the first time we'll disagree on the podcast.
Yeah,
maybe with women's hockey it'd be different because this league is marketed well. They'd be willing to go there. Maybe it'd be different. But I've always thought that the issue with the Brampton team and the Mississauga team, like Mississauga's moving to that rink where we did Worlds last year. I've always thought the issue with both those rinks is the fact that they're in the middle of parking lots and there's like nothing you could walk to around them.
Right.
So I'm kind of out on that rink, but
so you live downtown.
I like the idea.
You live downtown.
So I'm irrelevant.
Yeah. I don't. No, this is my point. I don't, and I have children, and getting downtown is a nightmare, especially on a Friday. There's games anywhere between 4 and 7 o'clock. It's a nightmare. You're going to Mississauga, not as tough getting in and out.
And you know what? It might make sense for the demographic. Here I am talking myself into it after. I'm like, I hate those rinks. Never put anything in those parking lots again.
And maybe it might inspire bringing some things around.
Yeah, it does. Like more people drive. You're right. Most people bring their kids to these games. So maybe it would work out better. All right. I'm into that.
Just a thought.
Thank you for the question, Raul. The next one comes from Amy and Peter, the Dewey's family. What trophy will the PWHL be playing for? I think they should have a trophy award named after Hazel McCallion. So this was brought up in the most recent media conference that the PWHL did with Jana Hefford and the whole leadership crew. That announcement apparently is to come. I think that's a great suggestion. You know how much Hazel McCallion did for hockey. What
Hurricane
a legend
Hazel.
of the game. Yeah, she was an OG. Like everybody who's around women's hockey has some sort of memory with Hazel, and she was obviously one of the trailblazers back in the day. What do you think, Tess? I used to love the name of the Isabel Cup just because of the kind of correlation with how it was Lord Stanley's daughter, and she had lots of ties to hockey. So I thought that historical aspect was cool, but with what the PWHL is doing, just totally trying to be new, I can't imagine that they'll go back to the old trophy name. But I'm not saying that with any insider information.
Well, there's the Isabel Cup, there's a Clarkson Cup, right? They're all beautiful trophies. I think they're going to go their own route, which I don't think is the wrong thing. This is a new start, a new beginning, a new league, new teams. It should have its own unique thing. Do I think Hazel McCallion is a good choice? Yeah. Do I think it might be something different? Of course. But like they said, not only just the trophy, but maybe an award named after Hazel. And, Hurricane Hazel deserves her place in eternity in women's hockey. So I don't doubt there will be. I shouldn't say I don't doubt. I don't know for sure, but I think there should be something that keeps Hazel's memory alive and her fire lit within all of us.
Yeah, even if it's not the trophy, the league trophy, I'd imagine some sort of award will be named the Hazel McCallion Trophy. It's a good point that you guys bring up. So that'll do it for the Send It segment here on the Jocks and Jills podcast presented by CCM, our first soft launch of the segment, Tessa, and I liked it. So thank you. Send in your questions. Keep telling us who you want to hear. We got all of your guest suggestions. We keep them. We don't answer all those. We won't like read them all out or anything to that effect, but we're definitely taking note of them. So make sure you keep sending them in, stuff like that. Got any notes, Tessa, for our awesome listeners? We love you guys.
Thank you
we
for
love
tuning
seeing
in, guys. Tune in, hit subscribe, follow, tell your friends.
Yeah, thank you to our sponsors. Thank you, Nobis. Thank you, CCM, for putting this whole thing on. Thank you to Molson for sponsoring our headline segment the next few weeks. And of course, as always, thank you guys for listening. To Tessa's point, make sure you subscribe everywhere, like it, listen, share our clips. We love you guys, and we'll see you next week.